Hello everyone, so in this video we will be solving the lead code question 2140, that is solving questions with Brainpower. So the problem statement states that we are given a 0 index 2D integer array questions, and the question will have the first column will contain the points and the value of points, and the second column will contain the Brainpower, right? So it states that the array describes the question of an exam, and when you have to process the question, okay, so we have to process the question in order, and we will start from the 0th question. So like 0th index, so 0th question. And if I solve a question, I can make a decision of solving a question, or I can skip a question, right? And if I solve ith question, then I'll get I points of I. And if I'm unable, then I'm unable to solve each of the next Brainpower of I questions. So what is the problem saying is, so the problem is saying, if for example I have something like this, this is my 0th column, and I have like 3 questions, 0 1 and 2, and the value is 2 2 3 1 and 4 2. Let make it 4 2 1 and 4 3, right? So the question is saying like, I have to start from this, initially I will start from this question, like 0th question, right? And I will have two choices, like I will have two choices. The choices will be either I can solve the question, I can decide to solve the question, otherwise I can just skip the question. And if I skip the question, so if I skip, let us just discuss about skip. So if I decide to skip this question, this one, so I'll just move to the next question, and I'll solve the next question. So I'll just move to this question, right? So skipping is easy, like I'll just go to next question. But what when I'll solve the question? So when I'll solve the question, so this is my points and this is my Brainpower. So what they are saying is, if I solve the question, so for example I decided to solve this question, I get 2 points, so my total point is equal to 2. And now I can't solve a next Brainpower of I question. So what is the Brainpower of 0? It is 1. So I can't solve the next question, and I can just solve the question number 2. I can't solve this question. For an instance, if instead of 1 it was 2, so then I can't solve the next two questions. If it was 3, I can't solve the next 3 questions. For example, there was another question, so I can't solve these 3 questions, right? So this is what happens when I decide to solve a question, right? So as we can see, like for a particular question, we have multiple choice, like we have two choices, binary. So we have two choices, right? So out of these two choices, we will solve. So like we can decide for 0, like if we solve, what will happen. If we don't, if we skip it, what will happen. So if we decide to solve, we can go, or we can go here, or we can go here. If we skip, we don't need this, we can go here. So here we can see we have multiple choices. So we can think of a recursive solution, right? So let us take the example again, 2 1 3 1 and 4 2, right? So I'll take the same example. Now I decide to, I am currently here, I decide to solve this one. So let me make it something like this. It is 2 comma 1 3 comma 1 and 4 comma 2, right? So I decide to solve the first one, I decide to solve this one. So if I decide to solve this one, I can have a point 2, and I can't go here, I will move here. So now I'm here, right? And if I try to skip, I will go here, and I have something like this, right? And now if I'm here, so in recursion left side will be solved first. So now I can solve this one, and I will have a total of 2 plus 4, that is 6 points. But here if I decide to solve this one, so I will have 3 points, and I can't solve this one. And if I decide to solve the end one, I will have 4 points. So in the end, the maximum will be 6 points. So we have to return the maximum points I can get. So let us just go with what we will be doing. We will write the recursive code, recursion, then we will memoize it, and then the tabulation is easy, so I won't be covering tabulation. It is easy. There are lots of other videos I have considered of tabulation, so we will just do the recursive code and the memoization code. Tabulation, if you want to do, you can try it on your own, right? So let us start with the recursive code. So what we have, like if this is my I, right? If this is my I, and it is my n minus 1, right? So if I reach n minus 1, I can return this point of this point value, right? So this is my one of the base case, and if I go beyond this, I can just return 0, right? So these are the two base cases I can take. So if my I equals to n minus 1, I can just return quotient of I 0, and if my I is greater than equal to n, I will return 0. And for each of the index, I have two choices. One is to pick. If I pick, if I am picking, I am getting this points, right? I'm getting these two. So if I'm picking, I will get the points. So that is quotient of I0 plus, I'll again call the same function on I plus. So for instance, if I'm here and I want to skip this one, if I do I plus 1, I will reach here, but I want to skip. So what I will do is I will do I plus 1 plus quotient of I1, and then I will just reach here by skipping this one. Like quotient of I times I have to skip, so I plus 1 plus quotient of I1, right? And next, and other one is if I don't try to pick it, so int not pick, and we can just write the same function with a I plus 1 call, and in the end I'll return max of pick and not pick. So we will just code this recursive code first, then in the code itself I'll memoize it. So I hope so you remember how to memoize it. Let us just change the name of this matrix. So let me int n equals to quotient dot size, so we'll get the size, and after that I'll call the function. It will start from 0, I'll pass in the quotient and I'll pass in the size. So long function, int of I is the starting index, so let's just write it ind. Then we have a vector of int, and I'll pass it by reference, and int n. Now if my I equals to n minus 1, I'll return quotient of I0. I'll return the points that are associated with that particular quotient. If my I is greater than equal to n, then I'm going out of bounds, so I'll just return 0. And here I'll sorry, it said I should take long because I have to return long pick equals to a quotient of I0 plus, I'll call the function on ind. Okay, I have to do it all ind plus 1 plus quotient of quotient of ind 1, and I'll pass in the quotient, and along with that I'll pass in n. Then long not pick will be a function call on the next quotient, and I'll pass in the quotient, and as well as I'll pass in n, and in the end I have to just return max of pick or not pick. So we will just submit it, and we will get a TLE for this one because it is a recursive code. And okay, we got a compile time error. There might be okay QUES, okay, and we here have QUES, okay. And do we have any other error? No, we just have this one. So let us just submit. And so as we were discussing, so for this we will get a TLE for large test cases where the number of questions will be high, right? We got a TLE as the questions dot length is 10 to the power 5. Okay, so the length of the question is 10 to the power 5, so because of that to the power n complexity for the recursive code, which will definitely give a TLE. So let us just memoize it. So what we will do in memoization, we will just declare a vector of long since only index is changing, so we will declare a vector or 1D vector of long of size n plus 1 with value -1, and we'll pass it to our function. Alright, let us just pass it to our function, vector of long and dp, and here we will just put an extra check. If dp of ind not equal to -1, we'll return dp of ind, and here the value will be dp of ind. So what happens is the value is kept stored at each moment, and we don't have to every time do the recursive call for the overlapping conditions. So if we submit it now, it should work fine. Okay, okay, we have to pass dp here, my mistake here, dp, and here again dp. So now if I submit it, it should work fine. Yep, as you can see, it is submitted, and it is accepted. So hope you got how to solve this question, and thank you for watching the video. Make sure to hit the subscribe and like button so you can stay tuned for another videos, and I'll see you all in the next video.